legislative changes you think that need to be made, where not just organizations like yourselves, but overall legislative changes as well, that in your eyes need to be made on any level of government, where we can work together and start, have the same goal as you to end homelessness?
Yeah, I think what we have seen is Bill C-97, which is, the National Housing Strategy Act. It says that housing is a human right in Canada. I believe in 2019, that became law. So I believe we just need to add more teeth to that. So if it's a human right, and we recognize that that is part of having a dignified life, then we need to be providing affordable housing.
Absolutely.
Everyone we serve, they want housing.
Yes.
That is all they want. But sitting on a list for years waiting, that's not the way to do it.
You're absolutely right. And right now we're facing a supply issue with housing. I'll add that fact that we need more supply. Housing is unaffordable. Rent is out of control right now.
Yeah.
We've seen inflation hit. It's the silent killer. Things are less affordable than they used to be. And I think this needs to be something that we're tackling, because it's always the most vulnerable, whether it's the lowest income or whether it's newcomers and or seniors. Everyone is feeling that impact, but it's always the most vulnerable that really feel that. They're absolutely feeling that now more than ever in my eyes. And you touched upon this, that we do have basically an opioid crisis right now.
Yes.
We know how real that is.
Yeah.
And the lives that it's not just impacting, but it's taking lives.
Yeah.
Because and to some degree it does tie in with this whole thing where things are not affordable. It's increasing the mental health issues, where there's a crisis there as well. Can you talk about the human cost of this crisis? Yeah. And how it affects families and our communities in general?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Addiction tears families apart. But where does addiction start, right? Nobody wakes up one day and says, hey, I want to be an addict today. That's not what happens. And a lot of the people that do use, they want to get clean.
Yeah.
But getting into detox is difficult. So there are some solutions we can implement. We can, first of all, prevent homelessness through affordable housing. We can increase mental health access, but a rent bank as well. We used to have a great program here in Alberta where you could go to Alberta Works and you could access the rent bank, where you couldn't pay your rent. They would pay for it for 1 month, once every 3 to 5 years you could access it, but it mitigated that homelessness. Access mental health wait lists are approximately 1 year to see a mental health professional. I think we can do better for stuff like that. When it comes to detox, when people want to get clean, why can't they just go and access and get clean? We should be able to support that. And unfortunately, we have something like 80 detox beds for Calgary and area population. So that's not feasible. And so many of our people are going for Renfrew, for example, that is, one of the great detoxes here in Calgary, one of the great 2 ones we have. The other one's at Alpha House. Of course, they do amazing work, but they don't have capacity or the funding to enhance the capacity that we need. People are showing up for 3 days in a row, convincing them that they're sick enough to require detox. And so when we're talking about the opiate crisis and it being fueled, these are part of the systems that are contributing to it. We have an issue with safe consumption sites, for example, which is, harm reduction focus. We absolutely need more of them. I couldn't imagine if when alcohol was legalized that we opened one bar, we would have 100% of all the problems related to that at that one location. And here in Calgary, we are seeing a similar issue at the Sheldon Schumer, where the community is complaining about what's happening. But consumption sites were created from, studying in Europe and Vancouver, because people come in, they use safely, and then when they're at their norm, because that for many is their norm, then you can engage with them about housing, detox, treatment options, right? So it creates an equitable way of meeting people where they're at. But of course, we haven't increased that capacity. Along with the detox beds, I do hear our government talking about treatment, expanding treatment options, which is great. People need to detox before they can go to treatment. And then where they're discharging them. Why are we discharging people into homelessness? Because I have people every few shifts that are like, I'm clean. I just finished detox and treatment. And I'm like, why are you out here? Why? Well, I have nowhere to go. And so now you're back in the shelter with other people being traumatized again, triggered in your mental health. And how do you sustain sobriety with those type of stressors? I mean, personally, if I had to be homeless again in that, of course I would end up using probably, because how else would I survive the environment? So I don't know if that answers your question.
I'm